top waiver wire stashes ahead of week 4. Jump on it now and get ahead of the game on these guys. Beat the waiver wire and grab these guys for free and leave your league mates wondering on Tuesday how you beat them to it. DeAndre Swift is questionable with a quad injury, and if he is unable to go, we would likely see an increased role for Kyle Monangai. Heading into the season, I had a lot of concerns about Swift. He was not one of my preferred draft targets. If you follow me, I talked about this. The problem with Swift is that while he was going to have the lead back role for sure, if he underperformed, I believed that the leash from Ben Johnson would be very short because he already knows DeAndre Swift. He's already moved on from DeAndre Swift. So it's not that difficult to cut the cord. Last week, Johnson said that he wanted to get increased touches to Kyle Monangai, and that's exactly what we saw. We didn't overreact because that game got out of hand very quickly, so the increased touches did make a lot of sense. However, if Swift is out or even has a limited role this week due to the injury, Kyle Monangai would likely get the opportunity as the lead back against a Dallas defense that could yield multiple goal line opportunities. Stash Monangai now just in case so you do not have to run to the waiver wires next week. Christian Kirk is finally healthy, and he will make his season debut this week. This is fantastic news for the Texans because the rookie wide receivers, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, they have not made an impact, and it looks like they just need more time to develop there. The Texans' pass game has been incredibly ineffective. CJ Stroud completed just 13 pass attempts last week. He has 1 touchdown on the season. The offensive line is clearly a major issue. Kirk will be playing out of the slot, and having a very reliable receiver over the middle should be very beneficial to an offense that needs to get the ball out very quickly because their offensive line is flat out terrible. Rather than wait and see if Kirk has a strong performance, grab him now, stash him so you don't have to rush to waivers next week. As we continue to have underwhelming performances at tight end and a wide variety of injuries, we are going to have to dig deeper and deeper into streaming options, and you need to take a look at Jatavion Sanders. Sanders had an excellent game last week against Arizona, catching 7 of his 9 targets for 54 yards. When he was drafted, I loved Sanders as a prospect, and I loved his landing spot and the potential for him to be a Panthers tight end 1. The Panthers' willingness to use other blocking specific tight ends more prominently hampered any kind of rookie breakout potential for Sanders, but he did have several promising games. If he continues to look good, and with Xavier Legette looking like he is struggling in that receiving core, perhaps the Panthers turn to a more reliable target in Jatavion Sanders and increase his usage. If he is given the opportunity, I do believe he will thrive. When I am looking at waiver wire stashes, I typically like to keep it below 50% rostered, and I will make an exception every now and then, and this particular defense is an exception because the Detroit Lions play the Eagles this week. You will notice that they have a pretty decent drop in roster percentage, and that means that it is not uniform across the board. People are dropping them just because they are playing the Eagles, and it is literally people dropping Detroit if they cannot afford to carry 2 defenses. That means that the Lions defense could be available in a wide variety of leagues. So check your waivers, see if someone dropped them, because in week 4, they play the Cleveland Browns, and that is a team that you want to target for your defensive streaming options. Last week wasn't special by any means, but what we did learn is that Woody Marks does appear to be the direct handcuff behind Nick Chubb. Marks saw an increase of snaps last week and performed very well with his limited role, including 1 reception for 37 yards. He looked fantastic. Dameon Pierce was a healthy scratch last week. Dare Ogunbowale is more of just a guy. We have 0 timeline on any potential return for Joe Mixon. Chubb is the lead back, and I do not see him giving that role up. However, it is not a bad thing to roster a backup running back of a 29-year-old running back that has not played a complete season since 2022. If you can afford the roster spot, keeping Mark's stash is a solid move. I talked about this in the waiver wire video. I still believe that Kayshon Boutte is the wide receiver 1 of this offense and the guy that you want to roster. He's a key stash for me because while we have 0 confidence that he is a start-worthy option right now, we're not putting him into starting lineups, he does look like the receiver with the most juice in the Patriots receiving core. His usage actually indicates that as well. Stephon Diggs has modest production thus far and isn't playing a full complement of snaps. Demario Douglas saw his snap count decrease last week significantly, and he seems like he's the odd man out when it comes to 2 wide receiver sets. Boutte has promise, and this week's matchup against Pittsburgh is actually a solid matchup, and the Steelers' defense has been struggling this year. Hunter Renfrow saw an increased role this week, and nobody ran to the waivers because we know it is for a limited time frame. Renfrow was cut before the season started because they were prioritizing Jalen Coker as the starter. When Coker went down with the injury and he was put on IR, they called up Renfrow and said, hey, can you come back? And now he is serving as the primary slot receiver. We know that Coker is out for a minimum of 4 weeks, but we don't know if it'll extend past that. As injuries continue to pile up in deeper leagues, you might need a spot start. Renfrow is a guy that you can grab now and not have to make an actual investment in terms of FAAB. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.